Hello everybody, today we'll be playing around with new SwiftUI modifiers coming in iOS 16 that will allow us to change the color of the background and foreground in text and detect the location in a tab. Okay, let's start by creating the first view in the app, which is going to be a landing screen. You will just have a title and we'll use modifiers to decorate the background and foreground. One of the first new things that we're going to do is adding shadow to text. This can be done through the foreground modifier. Adding shadow to the color. So in this example, we're adding shadow to the color white. Oops, I made a mistake here. Actually, the modifier is not foreground color, it's foreground style. And there we have it. We have a shadow in all of the letters of our text. Now, let's use this isTitleLarge boolean to change between the font of the title. New in iOS 16, we can also animate other properties like the background. So what we will do is not just enlarge the font, but we will also change the background color of this text. And not only that, we will add the color as a gradient. Background is not liking the gradient, so instead what we will do is add a rounded rectangle with a fill. In the fill, we will choose from two colors with a gradient. We will also make the foreground style be conditioned to the isTitleLarge flag, and we will change between two shadows, one white and one black. All that we need now is a button to change the state of this view. Let's test this in the preview, and there we have our change. Now it's looking a little bit fast, so let's add an animation and try again. Can see now how the text is animating itself, wrapping around and changing the properties. Now that we have the animation ready, let's change the style of the button, shall we? We'll create a wave button. What we're gonna do here is have a button that when we tap on it, there's an animation like a ripple effect on the place of the tap location. First up, we'll just create a button with style, and after that, we'll add the tap effect. Now that we have the style of the button, we're ready to add the new onTapGesture for iOS 16, this one, where the closure that we pass has one parameter, which is the coordinate space of the tap. So here we're going to name it location, and well, for now, we cannot do anything with that location because we need to define the shape that we're going to use to create the ripple effect. Also, we need now a state variable since that location will mutate the state of this view. Before creating the wave shape, let's just add a circle and try to place it on top of the button depending on where the tap occurs. To position the button according to the tap location, we will use the offset modifier. And now let's modify the location on the onTapGesture. Okay, and there we have it. See how no matter where we tap on the button, the circle moves to that location. Now let's create the wave shape, one that will start as a small circle and will expand with an animation. Just like with an animatable modifier, shape also has animatable data. We can make that a CG float. We will have a variable, the radius, which we can then use for the setter and the getter of animatable data. Now let's create a path for the circle that we're going to create in wave. Rect doesn't have the center variable, so for convenience I'm going to add an extension and then draw an ellipse in the center of the shape. Okay, since we are doing anything, replacing circle with wave should be the same. This huge offset is happening because I removed the frame modifier from the wave shape, so it just enlarges all that it can to occupy as much space as possible. But because I am adding the radius, that's why we still have a small circle. Now, since I don't want to use a hard-coded frame, what we're going to do is use overlay on top of the bottom to place the wave shape. Okay, there we have the wave on top. Now, see what's happening here with the weird offset. That's because we need a geometry to center this circle and then use the location to move the wave. Let's try once more. Okay, now I have the button. Now you may notice that there's a little offset between the taps. That's because of the padding modifiers that I added when I was styling the button. We need to be very careful of where we put this overlay modifier so that it's not affected by the padding. So see here, I placed the overlay below the padding and it's not affecting. However, now the problem is that the wave is being drawn outside of the. So what we need to do is place this overlay above the clip shape modifier. And now we have it. We can only tap inside of the button. Now to remediate the offset we have with the padding, what we need to do is move the onTapGesture before the padding. And there we have it. Now we can only tap inside of the button and there's no offset with the tap location. Now all that we're missing is animating the wave. How are we going to do that? remember that we already have the radius hooked up to the animatable data in the wave, right? All that we need to do now is change that value and we get our animation. We add the guard to avoid triggering the ripple animation in the middle of an animation. We'll have a dispatch queue main async after some time so that we can turn off the animation and be able to tap again. Finally, we condition the radius value to the new flag that we just created. Let's try this. So we tap here. So see how it's not actually a wave animation because it's very small, but see how the value is animating from 0 to 10. Let's change that value to something bigger and see what happens. Maybe a little bit too much. Also, the wave is triggering too long. Let's have the animating time, and let's also decrease the size of the wave. Yeah, okay, that's better. As a finishing touch, let's add some opacity to the black color of the wave. Okay, yeah, I like it. Now let's change the button we had on the content view for a wave button. Okay, there we have it, our wave button that has the wave animation. And on the top, the style animations with iOS 16. That was all for today. We demonstrated the new features that come with text and the new modifiers with background style and foreground style. We also now can see the power of the new onTapGesture when now we can see the location of the user's tabs. See you next time. Bye.